Hey everyone, let's talk about goals. Q3 is over and that means we're almost done with the year. There's only one more check-in to do and one more goal setting for 2025. So let's start with reading goals as usual and then move on to life goals. And reading goals, I'm doing good. I'm really doing good. In 2025, I set out to read 100 books in total and to see that all the things that I'm tracking hit about a 20% mark. So let's look at some stats. And yeah, we're not gonna have nice graphs again. Still on low energy for editing stuff. So we'll do with the Excel pinpoint pictures again. Anyways, so let's look at the books. I've read a total of 76 books so far this year, meaning I'm perfectly on track to read 100 books in total. The books are spread 93 audiobooks, 24 ebooks, and 13 physical books, so about 50-50 for reading and listening. That is also not so bad. When I look at the amount of pages I read in total, those are 11,143, which makes about 1,100 pages per month, which is very good. I usually am happy if I can read 1,000 pages. That means I had a pretty normal, decent reading month for me. When it comes to listening, I actually excelled this year. So far, I have listened to 26,449 minutes, which comes to around 3,000 minutes per month. Usually, I used to do 2,000, so that is pretty good. I must admit, I'm counting the general minutes that the audiobooks have, not if I'm speeding them up or not. Because let's be real, if you're a fast reader or a book reads faster, you also just count the pages and not how long it took you to finish the book. At least I don't. I am not that particular or meticulous about tracking. So I'm happy with how I'm reading and what I'm tracking, and the amount of books that I'm listening to and reading to and the lengths and everything is really working well. I also started looking to increase the average length of the books I'm listening to and reading again. So my goal is somewhat 300 pages per book. I'm at 286 currently on average, which is actually a little bit more than I had in Q1 and in Q2. So that's not so bad. The same goes for listening. I'm aiming for 600 minutes. I'm definitely there. I'm listened to an average length book of 661 minutes. And that's also up from Q1 and Q2. The amount I'm reading, perfect. Let's look at the tracking spots I have. One goal that I really wanted to focus on this year is reading books from my wish list. You may remember that I decluttered or cut down my TBR immensely so that I try to keep it current and updated, and that means not buying every book I see everywhere. Instead, I put them on a wish list, but then I forget about them and never buy them and so never read them. That's the downside of having a visible TBR in your house to having a digital wish list somewhere. So this year I try to track more how much I'm reading from my wish list, and that is going pretty well. I've read 29 books in total, which make 38% of my total reading, books that I saw somewhere and didn't buy immediately. So I'm quite happy with that. Even though when I look back at Q2, the amount of wishlist books were 44%, that doesn't matter. I'm still really good on reading those wishlist books. The same with the books I actually already acquired and have in my house or in my digital libraries. That is also something I wanted to track to see if not only the turnover is there, that I'm reading the books that I buy, but also how many of those books I buy come from a TBR. And that's been 35 books this year so far. So doing pretty well there as well. That's 46% of my reading. The wishlist books and TBR books may be a little bit of a crossover, because if something has been on my wish list and then is on a sale, or I see it somewhere and I buy it, but don't pick it up immediately, the wishlist book also wanders onto my TBR. So those books may have been doubled in some of them, but that's okay. So now looking at the specific things I'm tracking. I'm always tracking how many nonfiction books I'm reading. The goal, like I said, is to have 20% of my reading is nonfiction. I didn't really manage that. I managed to read 12 books so far this year, which is 15% of my reading. And that has gone a little bit down from Q2, but it's been a little bit up from Q1. So there's a good development there. And I still have 3 months to read a few more nonfiction books. I also track classics, and I'm not doing well on that this year. I only read 3 classics. That makes 4% of my reading. And in the last quarter, I only read 1 classic. So not making good progress there, but I'm also not really prioritizing looking for classics that I want to read. So that kind of explains why I'm not reading as many if I don't pay attention to it. Sometimes it happens automatically that I pick up more classics, but I'm not really prioritizing looking for classics that I still haven't read but still want to read. But I also am thinking of rereading a lot of Virginia Woolf's books. So maybe if I get to that this year, I might catch up on classics a little bit. Another thing I'm tracking is translations, and so far I've read 18 translations, which makes 23% of my reading, which is much better than I did the whole Q1 and Q2, where it was only 11% of my reading. Before we get into the stats for series books, let's look at how many books I reread this year so far, and that's been 17, so 22%, which is actually less than in Q1 and Q2, but it's not a main priority. I like that I'm rereading books, and I still have 2 more Discworld novels that I need to reread. So that's the only thing I'm tracking when it comes to rereading in specific books. Other than that, I just keep picking books up again. Okay, that brings us to the series books or books in a series that I read. I track currently the first book in the series, the latest book in the series, and series books overall. So a first book is counted double for being a first book in a series and a series book. And it looks like I started 5 series and finished, or I'm on track with 4 of those. So that is actually not the worst I could be. I have read a total of 27 series books, which makes 35% of my reading. So that is also pretty nice. I like to make progress on the series that I'm reading, and I am not strictly focusing on finishing series this year. I'm only focusing on 2 right now. To that you're going to say, wait, didn't you focus on 3 series? Yes, I did. I started the year wanting to finish the Cosmere books that I still haven't read, my reread of the Discworld books, and also the Husky and His White Cat Shizen books. So I am still doing the Discworld. I, like I said, have 2 more books left to go, and we have 3 months, more or less. So I think I can manage to finally finish the reread after I started this before my channel. So yeah, 15 years. It took me a while, but I am getting there, and then I can pick up random books to reread of the series. That's my plan, actually. But doing good there. The Cosmere books, I had expected to be further along. I had planned to have read all the Stormlight Archive books by now, but that didn't happen. I'm still in the 4th book right now, and it's 5 in the series, and then there are shorter books around that I also still need to read to finish what was all the Cosmere books in the beginning of the year. I need to check if he published like 15 of those again this year. I'm not on track there. So, but I'm doing well, and I think if I put my mind to it, I can finish at least the Stormlight Archive books in 2025. I'm not sure if I can manage all the missing or leftover Cosmere books this year. We'll see. And that's basically what I can say about the reading. Like I said, I'm doing really well, and I'm happy with my reading. Even though every time I look at a monthly spread of the books I read, I enjoyed the reading when I'm reading them, but then I'm like, oh, it doesn't present as well as the reader I am in my imagination, but it's still the reader I am in reality. So Not sure what I'm going to do with that, but we'll postpone that to 2026 to see if I'm making different specific goals of books that I want to read more. Because let's be real, my brain is not doing so well with the literary fiction books that I want to read, so I kind of have to postpone that. Great. So the battery in this camera is flashing and we're doing life goals in a different setting then.
Okay, let's talk about life goals. If you don't know or you don't remember, 2025 is the year I wanted to get myself out of survival mode. I happened to come down off way too much work in 2024 and entered 2025 with a very relaxed, non-challenging work day. So I found myself just coasting through the day and not having much energy, not getting a lot of things done, and feeling exhausted mentally and physically very, very easily. So the goal this year was for me to reset myself, find more energy, and have more time in the day to do stuff. And it worked, and I'm not sure how well I declined in Q3 again, because stupid me got the chance to change positions at work. So I'm in a different team now since June 15th. So Q3 has been focused on getting trained in the new job and being confused and utterly not independent like I was in the position I had before. So yeah, I'm still not quite good in the job. There are a lot of things that I really don't know what we're doing and why we're doing it and how to do it. So there is an exhaustion part that added to the daily grind, let's say like that. So I was focusing again on the maintenance task, on doing things that I genuinely want to do despite not feeling it or not having the energy. Still, I think because it was summer and I'm always better in summer, we know that, I think I managed to do well and still feel like I have more energy and motivation and am in a better mood, today especially, than I had been in the beginning of the year. We will see how it goes next quarter, which is the hardest part of the year for me. I do like nice fall days, like today, the sun is shining, all is beautiful and it looks like all the fall colors you want to have. But when it's doom and gloom like it was last week, all week, I just want to curl up and do nothing. So that's fall for me. But let's look at the specific goals I set myself for life goals. And part of that is the book decluttering. Even though it could count to reading goals because it's book related, I counted to life goals because I decided that reading so many digital books, I don't need a home library anymore. And I took a very long time to slowly get rid of a lot of books. I will make a video about that, or rather about my thoughts after that, because I didn't manage to completely well document it, and I don't even have the numbers of how many books I got rid of. I've been a booktuber for 14 years and I still don't know how to prepare proper videos. Ah well, at least I got the decluttering done. So that is finally finished. It took me way longer than I expected, but I'm very happy that I'm done. I'm not sure if I'm happy with the outcome. I'll talk about that once I sorted my thoughts all around and can put up a video about that. But that's the goal I can tick off for the year and don't have to worry about Q4 anymore. So that's good. When I set out to make my Q3 goals, I already knew that I was starting the new job, so I didn't really put a lot of pressure on me. I had focus on exercise and eating to improve the physical health. And my goals there weren't high-stake goals. Let's talk about exercise first. I spent most of Q2 coming off or training after the performance analysis that I did and following the training plan. And my goal for Q3 was to basically follow the plan in the style or way I'm running on the different days, like speed runs and slow runs and medium pace runs, but not the distances the training plan gave me, because that ended after 12 weeks. And I sort of did that and I sort of didn't do it. I just noticed today when I ran 9 kilometers that my legs were aching. And I looked up the last time I actually went that far. And it turns out the last 4 weeks I didn't really run far. So my long distance runs have become short runs, or not short runs, but 4 to 7K runs, more or less. And I could feel it in my legs. I could also tell that I'm getting annoyed with the very slow runs. The idea of the slow run is to run at a very low heart rate to get the zone 2 training and the basic endurance training in. But my heart rate when I'm running jumps up. So constantly trying to run in the range of the heart rate that the performance analysis said is the goal or the sweet zone for that, I was getting more and more annoyed trying to stay below the highest heart rate. So I wasn't having that much fun running anymore, as well as with the speed runs. The only things I really enjoyed were the medium runs. So that is the first thing I am changing for Q4. I have decided to not be so strict about those runs anymore. The slow runs, I increase the heart rate a little bit and then I'm happy. I don't need to run much faster, but just a little bit faster, or on a bad day that I don't feel like I'm just barely walking. I also want to change the sprint runs to 30-second sprint runs to see how that is changing my body, as that is something that apparently will help with the perimenopause and all the functions that are in the body that are not working as well as they used to. And that is something that I'm noticing, that I am getting slower even though I'm training the same way or doing as much as I did before. Which brings me to the gym. I had in Q2 a body scan and it showed that nothing changed. I didn't have any effect or positive effect of going to the gym. No muscle build, no changes in the muscles, nothing. So I was very frustrated and wanted to change what I'm doing at the gym. What I didn't count for or imagine that would happen is that with the new job, I am working different hours. So the normal hours or the time I usually went to the gym, I couldn't go anymore. I didn't manage, and that meant I didn't go to the gym at all after a few weeks. I haven't been in probably 2 months, and that's mostly because I decided to cancel the contract. I could get out of my membership on the 20th of October, and I didn't want to miss that spot. So after I canceled, I was even less motivated to use the gym. Now I have about a few days left and I still don't want to go. Especially I don't want to go and enjoy it and then regret canceling the membership, because right now I don't think I can implement the gym or training at the gym how I thought I would be able to when I joined the gym last year. Joining the gym wasn't completely useless. I achieved the going places, doing stuff, different stuff than I did at home. I also achieved having a sauna last winter, getting through the winter cold with going to the gym, having a sauna afterwards, and winding down a little bit and getting some rest. I do think that helped in restoring some of my physical and mental balance. But overall, I don't really like the gym, and there were other issues with the gym that weren't exactly perfect, and it's not a cheap gym, it's a medium-priced gym. So the idea I had when canceling the membership was that I join a gym I used to go to, which is also in the area, but it does have a little less amenities or a little less perks, let's say it like that, than the gym I joined. But for what I can do, it would be enough. 1 month later, I don't even want to do that right now. I'm thinking of concentrating and focusing on the morning exercise that I want to do at home anyways, because after work, I'm still not in a position where I can see myself going somewhere. Instead, I implemented going on after work walks again, and I'm trying to do more of those. That's the goal for Q4, to do the after work walks, do the morning exercise, the routine that I have, do my 3 runs, try to increase weight training or the Metcon courses, half an hour videos that I usually do, to 2 times a week, and use my exercise bike once a week again for some basic endurance training. That's the goal right now. I have an overall goal of feeling more mobile and less stiff again. Another thing that's been influencing my physical fitness and time I have for exercise is my shoulders are in pain. So in September, I went to physiotherapy twice a week and had to find time to do that. And now I have a lot of exercises that I'm supposed to do on a regular basis to see if the shoulder movement improves again. And I'm also noticing that I'm feeling stiff in my legs a lot, and I'm feeling less mobile and flexible and just stiff. And I have been motivated lately to really see to get myself out of that. So that's the physical goal I have, to see if I can feel less, immobile is the wrong word for all the exercise I do, but I constantly feel a little bit stiff, a little bit tightness, a little bit tension. And I want to see if I can get rid of that, or if that is something that I will have to endure for the rest of my life now, because that's apparently my life now. Who knows? Bodies change, and I'm getting older and I'm not getting younger. And most of the exercise I'm doing, I feel I'm losing muscle faster and then I can build it. Which brings us to eating. So if you want to skip this part, go ahead. A lot of things with the eating I try to implement are recommendations that are geared at older women or women my age who are in perimenopause and are feeling the changes in their body, and how modern society right now thinks what could help. That's why the sprint runs, the 30-second sprint runs, but also eating more protein. And I'm struggling with that. I really noticed recently that I've been overthinking this. I've been constantly focusing on how to increase more protein in my meals, which also had me eat a lot more than I usually eat, and different things. And I'm not saying that it's bad, I'm just saying I'm struggling. If you don't know, I'm good in the mornings. My mornings are perfectly set. I have my breakfast routine. There's a lot of protein in there. Granted, protein powder is added as well, but I'm doing good on my breakfast. I'm also okay-ish when I'm working on work days with lunch. On the weekend, I usually don't eat 3 meals a day. Like today, it's Saturday. I went for my run, then had breakfast, and that happened around noon. So I would probably eat something later around 4 or 5-ish, and that's it. I wouldn't eat 3 meals on a day like this. And I can feel that it's a hustle for me to do so. Even on some work days, I'm good with breakfast. Then at lunch, we usually have that together at work, and I usually prepare something. I'm good with that. I can also increase the protein intake there, and I'm still trying to find new recipes to eat something different and have a new staple go-to meal that you can easily make that I like. So that's one goal for Q4, to increase my repertoire of recipes for quick lunches that I can prepare in the morning before I go to work. But where I struggle is after work and dinner. It's usually that I don't feel like cooking, I don't feel like doing anything, and in winter I often end up eating quick vegetable soup. I can make a pretty decent vegetable soup that I like. I don't care if anybody else wants to eat it. I need to eat it, so I need to like it. And it's mostly throwing some frozen vegetables in a pot, some pasta, and then just cooking it all. And I'm good with that. But that is not a high protein source, and it's also not a high calorie source, which is okay. But the more I work out, the more I tend to undereat if I'm not eating sweets, snacks, and chocolate. So I'm not really sure how to manage all of that. That is one thing I want to look at for Q4. I also am trying to rethink the way I'm thinking about food or calories. Most of the information I have is coming from Dr. Stacy Sims, who is really in my bubble right now for perimenopausal science and recommendations on food, exercise, and all the things. And for everyone else, it always sounds so easy to do all these things. But what she constantly says is that women need to retrain how we think about calories in, calories out, and weighing ourselves and how our bodies are supposed to look. And I would be kidding myself if I pretended that I don't have that ingrained in me. There's a way I want to look. It doesn't matter if anybody else looks like that, if anybody else thinks it's good looking, but I think I have a personal body image or an idea of how I would like to look and feel. And that is something I'm striving for, but it's also something that I probably looked like in my 20s and felt like in my 20s. If you don't know, I turned 50 this year. So it's a high expectation. The same with calories in, calories out. I don't really count calories on a regular basis. I've been counting on and off throughout my life, and also in recent years to see more for not calories but macros, like how much protein am I actually eating, how much is in my food, what food has high protein count, what has good fat, bad fat, carbohydrates, and you know the stuff. And the calories in, calories out is something that happens subconsciously. And I know when I'm overeating, I'm not punishing myself for that. But I'm also not punishing myself for undereating when I don't feel like eating more. And it is a mindset shift that needs to happen, that it's not calories in, calories out. Apparently, when you reach perimenopause or my age, that is not the main driver. And I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but I want to focus more on meals, recipes, and finding things I like to eat and I can prepare easily and fast. So that is the main goal for eating in Q4, to look for new recipes, to look for new ideas, and maybe even new ways of cooking, preparing things. Or, you know, I've tried meal prep a few years ago, didn't really go so well. I work much better with the ingredients prep, but even that, I'm not that good in long-term preparation. Another thing that I want to focus on is anti-inflammatory meals, to see if I can improve the shoulder, because I think there's some inflammation in there that is making the healing progress harder. So trying to see if I can improve with food and exercise. So main goal for Q4 is to feel physically better. So that's basically the life goals I want to focus on. I have given up on focusing on socializing, meeting up with friends more, or even making new friends, because that would take a lot of energy after work where I don't have energy. I'm back to just wanting to go home and crashing on my couch, streaming series or watching movies. And there is something that I noticed. It's with the time I have in the day. I do have more energy to do more things, but I also notice that I don't really want to give up too much time of series and film watching in the evening. So I am a little bit prioritizing that me time, which is funny to say because my life is all me time. So I don't really feel like going out of my way to socialize with many people. I still see a few friends every now and again, but I'm not going out of my way to see everyone I used to see or be in touch with everyone I used to be and go out as often as I used to. I thought in the beginning of the year that's where I wanted to get to again, to be more social and have more energy for friends. But at the moment, with the new job and everything, I am pretty peopled out at work. I would like to know how you are doing with your goals. How are you reading goals? Are you hitting your targets? Have you let go of some specific goals already, or have you adjusted your overall yearly reading target? It's perfectly fine to do that. How are your life goals? Are you achieving what you set out to do? Are you making progress in whatever you wanted to do? Or have you decided that goal that I was thinking of in January is nothing for October me? That's perfectly fine. I think the best thing about quarterly check-ins and quarterly goal making is that I can rearrange and reevaluate what is a priority for me at that moment. So that is really helping, and I'm also seeing progress. So one more quarter to go and then it's 2026. That kind of feels weird to say, but let's see how we can finish the year and what we want to do next year. We already have to start thinking about that, don't we? Anyways, let's talk in comments. Tell me how you're doing, and thank you all for watching and sticking with me through the year. Bye bye.